You're listening to Where We Are, a weekend conversation on faith, politics, family, and culture, hosted by me, Michael Ware, and my wife, Melissa. We bring our wide-ranging experiences in politics, ministry, and nonprofit life to bear as we discuss the issues of the day. On this week's episode, we'll have our monthly ranking of Republican candidates, and we've heard from you, our listeners, that perhaps a half hour pasta ranking is not necessarily. And we have a very abbreviated pasta ranking just to get you in touch with the best pasta shapes for your fall. This is where we are.
Hello, Where We Are listeners. If you're a longtime fan of this podcast or you're just joining us for the first time today, we want to tell you more about our podcast platform called Spotify for Podcasters. We've been using this platform for over a year, and it's been easy to use, and new features are added all the time. You can record and edit podcasts from your phone or computer. You don't need anything fancy, and you don't need previous podcast experience. When you hit publish, you will distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else podcasts are heard. Video podcasts are also available on Spotify if that's your kind of thing. And with Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. But here's the thing, you can earn money, but it's a free platform. There's no catch. If you're curious or want to see what it's all about, download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started.
This is Where We Are. We are the Wares. I'm Michael.
I'm Melissa.
And Melissa, the Where We Are community is growing. We have new folks listening to the pod, finding the pod. We were just talking about this before we went to air. We are grateful in a way for many new listeners who neither know nor care about Melissa or I, who have written in to inform us that Where We Are is not spelled W-E-A-R.
You all, many of you are very confused, and I've had to.
I don't think many of the people listening. I think what it is people who find it via YouTube or.
Yes, we are on YouTube. Welcome to our new YouTube.
And you know, this social media age, Melissa, it's cultivated in people this sense that, like, yeah, I have 10 seconds to tell these people I don't know that they misspell. This is a good investment of my time. It's not possible that there may be some key information that I'm missing out on. It is. It's great. It's great. Well, on this week's episode, we're going to update our rankings of the Republican candidates. If you want to hear us discuss the last debate, you can listen to the previous, or I guess because we did a special episode this week, it would be kind of last weekend's episode. But let's dive into the rankings. Things have changed. We've updated our rankings, but let's run it down. I think a critical prediction prognosis is that I think we're going to see at least one, and I think several candidates drop out before the next debate.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think we're going to start seeing the field whittle down. And so there are candidates I'm not even going to mention. And that is an indication to you that I think it's very possible that they don't make it to the next debate. And so let's get to it. Number 9.
Well, we've got introductory.
You're exactly right. How could I forget?
Our listeners really like my selection, so.
This is your man.
Yes.
Look at the screen.
That's mine.
And that's what you're going to settle for.
I'm going to stick beside him.
Well, Melissa, that wasn't exactly a setup song. It was more of a setup sound, but I think fitting for this field.
I thought it was perfect.
All right, let's get to it. In eighth, we're starting. We just have 8 candidates this month, and I have Governor Christie.
All right, yeah.
I'm keeping him on the list. So unlike some other candidates, he's named, so that's a win.
Right.
I think Christie will stay in.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to be able to continue to critique Trump.
Right.
I think he may harbor some designs for New Hampshire, although there's reason to think that he's not the best Trump alternative in New Hampshire. We'll talk about that. But I have Christie at 8. Next, number 7, Tim Scott. Now Tim Scott continues to drop. He had a better debate performance this last time, but I think his campaign's seen a decline really since the first debate.
Right.
He's still in it. His team is talented. I've been impressed in many ways with the campaign, but I have him at 7 here. That's due in large part, Melissa, to this dynamic that we've talked about between him and Haley.
Yep, his numbers right now in South Carolina, because there's some new polling.
Yep.
He's not doing
far
well
behind.
against Haley. Yeah,
far
let alone
behind.
Trump.
And so Scott's at 7. At number 6, I have former Vice President Mike Pence.
Okay, I agree.
Showing very little traction in the polls, but I think really you could have Scott and Pence tied. Honestly, if I was in a bit of a different mood, I might flip him entirely. But I do think, Pence is in an interesting situation if Trump falters. If he could say I was right about, I was right to back away from Trump after January 6th, and so I have him at 6. Number 5 is where it gets interesting, Melissa, which is I have a candidate who's not officially in the race, but that candidate is Governor Glenn Youngkin of Virginia.
Okay.
And look, it's a big election in the Commonwealth of Virginia coming up next month. If Republicans win the state legislature, a lot of people view that as a big boost to sort of justifying a late entry from Governor Youngkin. I have him, it may seem silly to some to have someone who's not in the race, but look, none of the Trump alternatives have caught fire, and we're in October now.
I have a question.
And you just if he jumps in, with real money backing him, with a claim that he could turn a blue state red, maybe he becomes the clear alternative to Trump late in this race. Yeah, what's your question?
Yeah, I have a question. Let's say he jumped in like November 15th, with January 15th being the first vote, aka the Iowa caucuses. How does Glenn Youngkin, who is generally known, obviously in DC circles, is generally known to very, aware, Republicans in the party across the United States, but he cannot possibly have the name recognition of like a Pence or even a Haley. He hasn't run for, he's only run for governor, like Chris Christie's formerly run for president, things like that. How does he build up any kind of name recognition to actually truly have a play?
I mean, I think he relies on like catching the moment. He relies on a huge surge of media interest following the November elections. So remember, the interesting thing about Virginia is that their elections are off year. And so that means, his election for governor, that got a lot of play.
Yeah, it did. I know.
Now the state legislature race, like a lot of national media attention will be on Virginia, because there's not, it'll be one of the most significant sort of stories this election, this upcoming election. And then I think it's, can he jump in with a stark message? Does the media gravitate to that because they're looking for a fight? They're looking for someone. They want a competitive Republican primary, and so far they haven't gotten it. That would be the play. And could Youngkin jump in with a suite of endorsements? I only think Youngkin's a pretty smart guy. He doesn't do this unless it's like lined up for him. And so...
Yes, because you only have 2 months until that first vote, and you need to build up some kind of, campaign and ground game and things like that. So you need the money set up, let alone endorsements.
And there are questions about, are there states where he won't be able to get on the ballot even?
Oh, right, yeah.
And
completely forgot about that.
So, yeah, it's not an easy thing by any means. There are complications. Here's what it reflects that I have Youngkin at 5, which is, maybe this is still just a matter of Republican primary voters not tuning in to the primary, and once they do, but like Trump is a known, I think what my putting Youngkin at 5 reflects is this idea that we're in October now, the race is pretty static. Trump, spoiler alert, is by far the front runner. And so, that something disruptive is going to need to happen for anyone to beat Trump. And because this is a ranking, Youngkin jumping in is more disruptive than Chris Christie doing whatever he's been doing. It's more disruptive than whatever Mike Pence has been doing. So yeah. So I have Youngkin at 5. At number 4, Vivek. And it's another thing where it's like, I think Vivek has a pretty low ceiling. But because Trump is taking up so much of the vote, you just have to weight the fact that Vivek is polling relatively well in national polling. More than you would if Trump was at like 35 and you had 3-4 candidates within 15 points of him. But because it's like Trump and then everybody else, you're really looking to like discern who has slight advantages among this big second group of candidates. And Vivek has national polling. He has his own money, and so I have him at 4. Again, I could see him. Him fading out, but for now, that's where he is. Number 3, Melissa. Governor DeSantis.
Ooh.
I have him. Again, this is like another close call, Melissa. He's the clear second candidate in national polling. So he's maintained that from the beginning. If you were just looking at national polling, I mean, you'd say Trump is going to win this thing. But then second, you'd say if anyone's going to challenge him, it's DeSantis. He's been a relatively static second place. But I see him faltering in some of these primary states. It's not clear to me. I don't think, Haley's looking strong in South Carolina. So at this point, don't think DeSantis comes in second in South Carolina. I think he comes in third. Mm-hmm. I think he's putting a lot of resources into Iowa. But if Trump wins Iowa, is anyone really going to care that he came in second? Like, if he doesn't have a surprise win, is he really going to get that much of a boost out of being second in Iowa? And then New Hampshire, as we're going to talk about, like, Haley's looking, there are some interesting recent poll numbers there for Haley. And so even though DeSantis has maintained this national lead, the other piece of this, Melissa, is we have new reporting out on the financial status of the DeSantis campaign.
It is not good.
And it is not looking good. We know several months ago they cut staff drastically. Like, they've been trying to rewrite this ship and sort of like throw off some dead weight. But like, I think, there are really troubling signs for the DeSantis campaign, which is why I have them in third, which leads us to number 2, which is Nikki Haley.
Ooh.
And, I know that the knock on Haley is, well, yeah, but that's a early 2000s era Republican Party. That's not Trump's Republican Party, but that's like kind of the point. Okay, so if it's Trump's Republican Party, then Donald Trump is going to win this nomination. If Haley can clear this field, get one-on-one with Trump by South Carolina, then she's able to take that, that voters are able to make that binary choice. And I think you're starting to see how that could emerge. You could see her come second in both. You could see her come second in New Hampshire. And if she comes second in New Hampshire, assuming Trump wins, like, who else stays in? Like, is DeSantis really going to take this to South Carolina just so he could come in third? Mm-hmm. So yeah, no one has a clear shot to this nomination other than Donald Trump. But Haley's performed so well for several months now, at least. I think she belongs at 2.
I agree.
Yeah. And then number 1 is Donald Trump.
He continues to reign.
Continues to look very strong. I mean, we are not seeing his national numbers really reliably dip below 50. And he's not getting weakened in these states, in the early states. I expect, Melissa, this race to pivot. I think this race in the new year, perhaps it takes that long, but the race is going to pivot. It's going to become sort of very much folks trying to these candidates trying to knock down Trump, and I think they're just, to some extent, their fire is being held, and we'll see what that looks like. We'll see how Trump takes the fire, but at this point, he is way out ahead, Melissa. Any comments you'd have?
No. You did a great job, Michael. No, this is exactly, because the last two rankings I would have had a couple people switched, but I really like that you've thrown in Youngkin. I wanted to hear the explanation around how he could build something so fast in 2 months with less name recognition than like a Trump, but I like it. It's good.
Yeah. I think this is where it sits right now. What I'm not hearing discussed, and it's fair because it really is based on one poll. So we have these numbers out of this poll came out last week in New Hampshire. USA Today poll that has Nikki Haley. So has Donald Trump at 49, Nikki Haley at 19 in New Hampshire. The next closest candidate is DeSantis at 10. So she's almost doubling DeSantis in New Hampshire. And there have been several other polls in the last month where Nikki Haley is defeating DeSantis. I'm not hearing that discussed. I'm not hearing a lot of people talk about that. If you could have a Southern candidate like Haley come in second in New Hampshire, that changes the calculus for someone like Christie, even like staying in that long. It certainly changes, I think, like DeSantis's expectations. And so yeah, keep an eye on that. I mean, interestingly, there have been some polls that show Trump a sub 40 in New Hampshire, but most of these polls have him around 50 or at least in the 40s. But yeah. So I think I'm interested to see how Haley does heading into the end of the year. Does she maintain and build on this momentum? Can she start putting pressure on DeSantis for people to say, what's your pathway to the nomination? And if she's able to do that, maybe this thing clears out a little bit for her.
Get out of the trenches of tedious tasks like managing order fulfillment and start growing your business with ShipStation. They'll help increase profitability by automating your workflow with their simple, easy-to-use dashboard. With it, you can pretty much do everything you need to quickly and easily. Update order information, print labels, compare rates, optimize shipments, and even set up automatic delivery notifications. And it doesn't matter where you sell. Amazon, Etsy, eBay, Shopify, ShipStation can integrate pretty much anywhere online. Another great thing about ShipStation? They can help reduce costs with industry-leading discounted rates from some of the biggest mail carriers. You might even be able to get up to 89% off USPS and UPS rates. So, make this year your most profitable one yet. Sign up for your free 30-day trial at ShipStation.com and use the code Spotify. That's ShipStation.com with the code Spotify.
I'm Mo Rocca, and I'm excited to announce Season 4 of my podcast, Mobituaries. I've got a whole new bunch of stories to share with you about the most fascinating people and things who are no longer with us. From famous figures who died on the very same day, to the things I wish would die, like buffets. All that and much more. Listen to Mobituaries with Mo Rocca wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, that is our October ranking for the candidates. Very briefly, but importantly, vitally, we just want to give you a few pasta shapes, a fall pasta ranking. Maybe you'll just try out something new this year. It's a fun thing we like to do on Where We Are. What, Melissa? Did you pick something for the pasta ranking this month?
I sure did.
Woke up this morning, got some gabagoo. And then I woke up the next day and got some gabagoo. Keep waking up and keep getting different types of gabagoo. I even got some gabagoo from a Scooby-Doo. I woke up this morning, I got.
Well, are you proud of yourself?
Very. Always.
All right, let's get to it, Melissa. What do we have?
All right, we only got 5 pastas this month because I wanted to do 5. There's no explanation around it. With the pasta rankings, it's my deal. It's my choice.
Okay.
So, and I'm not going to explain like the first 4. You're just going to. Number 5 is orzo. Orzo's great in a soup. It's soup time.
I do like it. You know, for some reason though, orzo, I don't consider orzo to be Italian.
I mean, that's your problem.
Well, no, I'm not even saying it's a problem. I'm just saying orzo is like one of those interesting pasta shapes that, even though it's pasta, which, you know, I think the Italians pretty much, you know, have that locked in. I feel like the Greeks have claimed orzo.
Okay, I can see that. Well, you're going to be really upset about number 3.
I feel like orzo and like a pasta salad with feta. Yeah, I feel
I'm not thinking pasta salad. That's summertime. It's fall. Fall time is soup time. Orzo and soup.
Okay, fair.
Another soup one, soupy, but this one is specifically for when you're sick. It's pastina, which is a very, very, very tiny, tiny pasta that you make with basically some egg, and you make it for your kids or yourself when you're sick, and it's fantastic.
Or just some chicken broth.
Yeah, chicken broth, whatever. Pastina is a great little pasta. Number 3, you're going to be upset. Egg noodle.
I'm upset.
Fall. It's fall. Egg noodles are great with some kind of hearty meat.
Okay, I'm convinced.
Number 2, this was on the last ranking. Again, we're further into fall, and this rigatoni makes me feel like fall. So rigatoni's at number 2. You put it with a meat sauce, and you feel good about it.
Yep.
Now, okay, you're going to be real surprised at number 1. Everybody else is going to be real surprised at number 1 because number 1 is very basic. One of the most basic staple pastas on the planet. I have not ranked it before, but I got to rank it right now, and it's spaghetti. And that's number 1 right now in my heart.
I think I know why.
Well, you tell me why.
No, it's your ranking. You tell me why.
Well, okay, here we go. There is a brand of pasta called Garofalo, and it is now sold at Costco, of all places, in bulk. Now, Garofalo used to only be sold at specialty Italian stores, and I think they make the best dry spaghetti that you can buy. But now they make the best dry spaghetti you can buy in a regular mainstream store. So go to Costco, get the bulk pack. Comes with 3 packs of spaghetti and then 3 packs of 2 other different kinds of shapes, which are great. But Garofalo's spaghetti is spectacular, I would say.
And then, you know, if you're going to do that, blow your mind even further and make it with tomato applesauce.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't thinking that, but yes, you're right.
Yes, tomato applesauce, the fall staple of the Ware household. We sent out the recipe, I think, on the Substack.
Yes, but to subscribers only. Sorry.
It's a good reason to subscribe.
You should subscribe.
wherewere.substack.com. But yeah, no, that's a good one.
All right, so spaghetti reigns supreme this month, and it. Honestly, I feel like a lot of you will identify with it because I feel like a lot of you have been expecting me to put normal pastas on this list, and there you go.
There it is. Woman of the people.
I am. It's me.
Hey, that's the episode. Please consider coming to DC for the Good of the Public Summit, November 6th through 7th. You could learn more, register at ccpubliclife.org. And also, my book comes out in 3.5 months.
Dude.
Spirit of Our Politics. You'll be hearing a little bit more about it in the coming weeks and certainly coming months. But would love if you would pre-order it now. All right.
And just to let you know, next week we will be taking a break. So no new Sunday episode next week on the 15th.
That's right. But we'll be back on the 22nd.
Yeah, with a couple guests.
Ooh, very exciting. All right. You've been listening to Where We Are.
Bye.
It's the end of the weekend, but I still wanna turn up. Yeah, I still wanna turn up. All I want is to go again, but you ain't picking your phone up. Why you messing my head up?